Well, recently, two of Marvel's biggest actresses sat down with Variety, and it did not take long for the topic of the Marvel Universe to come up. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the recent podcast that featured Scarlett Johansson with Gwyneth Paltrow. Well, anytime you see two former stars of the MCU sit down, it won't take long before the questions about the Marvel Universe and their experiences at Marvel Studios start to pop up. Now, recently, both Scarlett Johansson and Gwyneth Paltrow guested on the Goop Podcast, which is hosted by Variety. And it didn't take long before the topic of their shared history with Marvel Studios came front and center. Now, as many of you know, the very first time they appeared together was in Iron Man 2 back in 2010. And at the time, we had some really interesting reports that the two actresses did not get along and actually clashed on set. During this conversation, that actually came up, and Scarlett Johansson actually said, "You were so nice to me on that movie. I was so petrified. You could have been awful. I was so out of my comfort zone on that movie. I'd never done anything like it before. Plus, you established such deep friendships." Now, Paltrow added to that she was psyched to be joined by Johansson in the Iron Man sequel. Ford Johansson chimed back in that it was great just to have other women around. Prior working to the Avengers, it was like a big sausage party. Now, with both actresses, one of the things up in the air is the possibility of either one of them returning. And when it was brought up, Johansson immediately dismissed the notion. In the interview, she actually said, "I'm done. Chapter is over. I did all I had to do." Also, coming back and playing a character again and again over a decade of time is such a unique experience. Now, she seemed to close the door pretty quickly on her potential return as Black Widow. Many fans, myself included, have speculated she could be part of Secret Wars, but it does sound like, based on this statement, that's definitely not on her agenda. Additionally, we heard some rumors that her and Chris Evans could be teaming up for a Nomad series, but based on this response, I think that is also completely off the table. Now, as for Gwyneth Paltrow, it seems like she also might be done with the MCU. Her story arc concluded with her finally suiting up as Rescue in Endgame, but when she was asked if she's done playing a superhero, her response was pretty telling. She said, "I think so. I mean, I didn't die, so they can always ask me. A 64-year-old Pepper Potts? How great." So it sounds pretty unlikely she could return as Rescue, but honestly, I could see her making at least cameos in some future projects. Ironheart and Armor Wars are the first ones that come to mind, but it is distinctly possible that Paltrow is also completely done with the MCU. Now, obviously actors can change their mind, and with the right amount of motivation, aka money, nothing is impossible in Hollywood. But it does sound like both ladies are pretty done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I would love to see Scarlett Johansson return in Secret Wars. It's not a must-have, but I definitely think it would put a great cap on the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. If that happens, we're gonna have to wait and see.